Hello and welcome back to the program. Now, a cyber attack occurs every 7 minutes here in Australia, and reports suggest that the severity of these attacks is rapidly increasing. You only have to take one look at your phone for that package you didn't order and see that you've been given a message. That's just me. Joining me now is Bressanutti, Crawford cyber lead and forensic and financial accountant of Crawford and Company. He joins me in the studio. Lucas, what is the initial step a company should look to take when they get hacked?
So very much most companies don't know that they've been hacked. There'll be kind of indication from their internal IT team. They might identify there's some malicious activity, someone might have been in the system that shouldn't have been in the system. So very much in the first instance, it's that internal IT support that a company has that will identify if the system has a potential breach.
Yep. After
that, any indication of a compromise to a system, that incident response plan should be implemented. So we can see that cyber maturity is, enhanced in Australia. That's what's been happening over the last 2-3 years.
Yeah.
As you can see kind of in the news every day, there's a different attack that's happening to a different company. So a lot of businesses are taking that on board and trying to make sure they've got a better cyber understanding. So we're assuming that most businesses at this point have some sort of understanding or cyber risk.
You would hope so at this stage
Correct.
of the game, yeah.
And then very much it's getting the right specialists involved after that point. Some businesses might know who they need, what they might need support with, or the specialists that need to be engaged, and that's very much where kind of Crawford's comes into the piece. We're happy to kind of walk you through an incident from start to finish and get the right people involved, whether that's IT, legal, public relations, and all these other bespoke services which could be required.
I think that's really important, especially when it comes to the end-to-end handling of these things for companies. But what's your key advice for organisations when it comes to dealing with these attacks? I know there's sort of an emotional toll that these things can take, as well as, of course, the financial and the reputation damage that can occur.
Yeah, very much so. So what I would say to businesses is, obviously it's going to be a bit scary. Most people aren't specialists in the IT space, and when something like this happens, it's kind of a doom and gloom.
Yeah.
But very much the key takeaway is time is of the essence. You want to make sure that if something's happening, you're acting on it quite quickly. We've had an incident where it happened on a Friday afternoon.
Oh God.
The business decided, I've got the weekend, I want to enjoy my weekend, I'll deal with it come Monday. Monday comes around and it's 10 times worse than it would have been if we had have acted on that Friday. My second piece of advice is get the right professionals involved. I would say that there's a lot of different providers out there offering support and services that can help in the response to a cyber attack, but they may not be the best option depending on the circumstances. And the last one is tailor the cyber response in line with what's actually happened. So Optus is obviously a massive corporation that's had a massive breach. You wouldn't expect that same response that Optus has done if it's an email compromise or something along those lines. So very much tailor the response to what's actually happened.
Which is where teams like you come in. It sounds a little bit like leaving the bathtub running on that Friday night and coming back and it's all flooded. But
100%.
You can steal that one.
Yeah.
But do cyber criminals primarily target larger brands? You clocked onto what we saw with the telecommunications company Optus. Is that generally what they're going for? Are they attacking mum and dad's business down the street and those small to medium enterprises as well?
Yeah, unfortunately, no. I would say that everyone's at risk. I'd say that the small business kind of group is more at risk than the more large corporate entities.
Okay.
The reason I say that is because the corporate entities have a greater cyber awareness and probably protection of their IT environment. So in order to compromise a major company, it's going to take a lot more resources, whereas you touched on kind of a mum and dad type of business. We're looking at maybe there's only a firewall and one other option. So very much it's a very unfortunate answer, but I'd say that we're seeing just as much incidents on a small business and medium business as we do on that large corporate scale as well.
Which is a good reminder to sort of stay vigilant, two-factor authentication, change those passwords. To finish, tell us a little bit about your team and what you guys are offering people and where you can find out more.
Yeah, 100%. So very much so. I work for Crawford and Company. I'm kind of within Australia. We operate globally, so we see cyber incidents on a global scale.
Nice.
My team specifically, we deal with kind of the incident response, a support resource. So very much we coach a business or even an individual through their response to an incident. whether that looks like a very small type of engagement of a forensic IT person, and if it's, maybe public relations, to a wider, more complex type of response where we're looking at 10 or 15 different providers that might be needed to overcome the issue that's present.
Again, that end-to-end experience to helping people walk them through this thing. Lucas, I want to thank you for joining me in the studio. It's obviously a hot button topic. It's ongoing. Hopefully we get to speak again down the track.
Perfect. Thanks for your time.
Cheers. And of course, thank you to all of you for tuning in. I hope you've learned something from my discussion there. I look forward to seeing you all again very soon. Be well.
You're watching Ticker. We'll have more in just a few minutes.